pops up for me, I'll let you all know. What are you saying on your end, Matthew? Okay. Is it telling you you're live? Okay. You guys are listening. You know how it is in this technical world that we're in. We're trying to make sure that we're officially live. Okay. And I believe so. So for Anthony and Malaya, we're actually live now. So if you needed to share it, this would be the perfect opportunity. It's live. Yeah, it's like a 10 or 15-second delay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm seeing it on my Taylor Legacies page, but not my Sequana page for some reason. Yeah, I don't think it's you, so it's fine. I'll just share the love. Just to make sure. So good evening, those out there in the media work. Yeah, you see it? Okay. So, good evening. Welcome to Building Economic Wealth Group. We are here tonight with some very great individuals who do great things within the community, whether they're with the organization or as an individual. So, I'm Sequana Taylor, CEO of Taylor Legacies. Thank you guys for joining us. And thank you to my panelists that are on here tonight. You are the best individuals. Thank you for taking out your time to come and share with us and the community here. Even though we're stationed in Milwaukee, this is a platform that also goes national. So thank you guys for being national hosts and panelists tonight. We'll just do a round robin. If you can tell us who you are and what organization, or if you're an individual, who are you representing tonight? And I'll kick it off to my left.
Thank you, Sequana. I'm
What?
Farina Brooks, and so tonight I'm actually here on behalf of the Greater Milwaukee Foundation, although I am founder of Dream Team United MKE.
Thank you, Miss Farina, and being here. To my right.
My name is Tevin Humphrey. I am a youth advocate and youth leader and a member of Dream Team as well as We Fund the Community, a youth leader.
Absolutely doing great things. I'll kick it off to Miss Malaya.
Hey, good evening. Malia here with the Greater Milwaukee Foundation.
Okay, then I'll kick it off to Anthony Dodd.
Hello, I'm Anthony Dodd, CEO of Dodd Group LLC, and just overall life coach.
Great. Thank you for joining us tonight. So, also, I know you guys told us who you are, but if you can tell us a little more about your organization, that would be great too. So people know exactly what is Greater Milwaukee Foundation, what is coaching, like what exactly do you do? People are listening, they're attentive.
Malia.
Yeah, I can start. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Miss Marina. Yeah, the Greater Milwaukee Foundation, how I like to describe it and talk about it is that we're a community foundation and remain, for over a century in the city of Milwaukee, really remain committed to just serving and investing in a better Milwaukee for all. So what that really means is that we really value community voice and our stakeholders in the neighborhoods, in the community doing the work at the table to really inform our work and direction at the foundation. So some of the roles that GMF has played is doing, funders work. So really a lot of direct grant making and providing support to those who want to create funds to support a cause that they care about, whether starting one or giving to a current one. And then also just being that middle person that that convenes folks together, brings community stakeholders together and leaders together to create solutions. So that's kind of how I think about what the Greater Milwaukee Foundation represents.
Thank you, Mr. Dodd. Could you tell us a little more about your organization?
Oh, no problem. So the Dog Group, we operate in a couple lanes. So the first lane is, of course, we buy real estate property and just rent them out. I've been doing that for a while since I was 44 now, so I've been doing that since in my late 20s. Um, Also, we do investigations. So if a company needs an investigation on certain employees, that's something they can contract with myself, and then that's something I can take care of. Also, I don't know if you guys are familiar with PREA, but we keep residents free from any sexual abuse and sexual harassment. So that's another lane that the DOG group operates in to make sure that jails, prisons, and even halfway houses are PREA certified.
Oh, that's great. I like that. So I've never like I've heard of an organization doing something to that magnification, but not inside of the jails or halfway houses. Are you the only person in the city that does that or have that capability?
Actually, that's a good question. Last I checked, if you, there's an actual website, it's called the PREA Resource Center. So you can look up certified PREA auditors. It's hard to be a PREA auditor. So PREA stands for Prison Rape Elimination Act. And, I get a lot of calls, to do audits across, like I said, halfway houses up north. Uh, I know I'm the only one in the county of Milwaukee. Uh, so that's a market that I kind of, when I got time, that's one of my lanes when I got time. So, it's something that I think people should look into. It's dear to me. It's important to me just to keep brothers and sisters safe while they're incarcerated. So,
Absolutely. I knew it was something I hadn't heard of, and that magnification, of course. So I'm glad to hear it. And now it got me
yeah.
looking like to go look it up and see who else is certified to do it. But definitely kudos to you as a Black man being the only one in Milwaukee County that speaks volumes to the work that you do. So, Greater
Well,
Milwaukee Foundation have been around for years. You guys have money and resources that go out to the community. So, is there a specific person, zip code that's your target audience? How does one find out more about the Greater Milwaukee Foundation, and how do you apply or become on a serve list to be able to apply for any grants or any grants? I'm sorry, or any monies that are available to those within our community?
Okay, so we have the Sherman Park East and the Sherman Park North. And so the boundaries for that is the Sherman Park East boundaries is west to east, Sherman Boulevard to 32nd, and south to north, North Avenue to Keith Ave, and Fond du Lac. The North Division area, the boundaries are west to east 20th to H Street, and south to north, North Avenue to Burleigh. However, we do encourage people that if you live even close to the boundaries, to still apply, because just because you're not in those boundaries doesn't mean that we will not look at your application.
Okay. So when you say within the boundaries and look at your application, is this for any resident within that circumference or environment? Does it have to be a landlord? Are there any other stipulations or requirements for anyone who wants to apply? And is
Okay,
it agenda specific?
so for people to apply, you have to be 501c3 or have a fiscal sponsor, which means someone else who's 501c3 that would allow you to write up under their 501c3. There are three different levels for the funding. It's called the Spark, which I just had up. There is the first level is the Spark one. It's a planning phase and an idea where you get 250. The next one is the Ignite, which is 2,500. The concept is developed and the team is ready. And the Glow, you already up and running, and you are requesting for additional support, which means you have to be prepared to uh, have matching sponsorship. You have to be able to have a budget. You have to be able to explain exactly what it is you're doing. What do you need the money for? Right now, we're doing a Thrive in the Community grant for our youth, for the youth, for people who are investing in youth. And Malia, if you want to elaborate on that.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Miss Farina. Yeah. So, we know, like at the Greater Milwaukee Foundation, that in order for us to really achieve this shared impact in our city, in our communities, that we need to do it together. So our funding, our grants that Ms. Farina is talking about in Sherman Park East and North Division neighborhoods really came out of a series of community engagement sessions where we brought together residents, key stakeholders, other community leaders to really have multiple conversations around where can GMF make their investments of $150,000 in these neighborhoods, respectively. And so out of that came the issue of wanting to really invest in our youth and young people in the neighborhood, seeing that there's so much potential. Young people have so much potential, but there needs to be just greater access to those resources and opportunities for young people. And so, with and I think with allowing community voice to be at the table like this, so not only are they informing the grant making, like priority and funding areas, but they're also sitting at the table making the recommendations as well for the app in reviewing the applications that are coming through. So I think that's also really important to highlight about our grants. This is our second grant cycle, so our committee, made up of 9 residents and community members in Sherman Park East and North Division. They get together to sort of think about, how do we continue to foster these relationships between, funders and the community, but then as well as just thinking about how do we make some of these processes like grant writing and grant application process a little bit more friendly, a little bit more accessible. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think I think I covered it, right?
And that's great. And I'm glad to hear you say to make it more accessible, but also easily adaptable. Because a lot of times when you talk about grants within not just the city of Milwaukee County, a lot of times it's this 10-page grant that's supposed to be centered for community individuals. But in order to even be able to process it or write one that won't go into the garbage or that will have all of the T's and the I's crossed, it seems to be complicated. So I'm happy to hear that there's an organization actually looking at what does it look like for someone to fill out this grant and who are the immediate people that needs to access it. And seeing as if the Thriving one was one for youth, I'm glad we have a youth here. When you hear about a grant that is specifically for youth, and I heard you say it's for those organizations, but hopefully they are having youth at the tables when they are deciding these decisions that affect them. Do you feel like there are enough resources within the community for you all or enough grants? And what are some other things that possibly may be needed to ensure your success or opportunities for you all?
I believe there is enough money in the community if we all come together a little bit for a certain purpose and you'll reach those youth who have special skills but aren't being looked at necessarily, the ones who aren't being shined on. And repeat the question.
Yeah, no, that's okay. And then also, you said you believe there's enough money, but also what will be some other resources or how can you hone in on the resources we currently have to make sure they are leveraging opportunities or more opportunities for you all?
We can hone in on different groups that work with the youth
Okay.
in order to provide grants and directly hit towards those neighborhoods that really need or really have those young minds that really care about the education and want to go forward with it and want to develop. So you hit those groups, you automatically hit the community and people who are linking up in the neighborhood.
All right, great. And for the thriving one, I'm talking about this one because this one is actually up on the table. So for those organizations who work directly with youth and impact the youth within our city, knowing there's a lot going on, this would be something I believe you should look into if you live between those perimeters that Miss Farina state. And if you believe you're just on the line, I think if you reach out, they'll let you know if you're eligible or not. Correct?
Yes.
All right. So here's some money. We often talk about what are the resources? We need money. What are some things in the community so that we can do some things with our youth? Here's an organization say, hey, we have these things for these residents that live within this vicinity. Let's check it out and see what we can do. I believe that's great work. I do hope at sometimes, and I know it was created just for the Sherman area, and I'm thankful for that, given some of the things that are going on there. But that hopefully we can enhance and expand the territory of things that we're doing for youth. And there may be some other organizations or agencies who have funding for that. If you do, please reach out. I'd love to get that information out. And so I know you kind of sat back for a minute, Anthony, if it's okay if I don't say Mr. Dodd. You talk about credit repair and stocks. And I know we're talking about youth, but then other things within the community. What are some things or some tips you may give somebody? I didn't grow up in a household that talked about finances. I didn't grow up in a household that talked about stocks. That was some things I learned as I became grown, and I'm just now getting into the stock market now as an adult. But I think about a wealth of knowledge that could have been utilized as a younger individual or at whatever age you're at now. What will be some tips or some strategies you can give to someone who's looking to become more informed or looking to get into credit or looking to learn more about stocks?
Well, I was raised pretty much the same way as you. My family didn't we didn't talk about credit because my parents didn't know anything about credit. So it was all about surviving. Just trying to put a hot meal on the plate at night. So I had to kind of learn on my own. A lot of people told me, "Hey, you need to learn about credit. You need to learn about real estate," but they never showed me how. Nobody never actually showed me how. They just said, you need to do this, you need to do that. So one day I actually picked up a book, and this book saved my life. It was called Rich Dad Poor Dad. I'm pretty sure a lot of your viewers are familiar with this book, but I read this book like the Bible. I mean, I read it backwards, forward, sideways, and I embodied that book. So basically, what I learned is, uh, it's all about credit. Even to this day, it's all about maintaining your credit. It's kind of, and when I see young brothers on Facebook, flashing money and stuff like that, I be trying to tell them, listen, people with money don't
Don't flash
don't
it.
want money like that. I don't ever carry money in my wallet ever. You know what I mean? Because it's all about credit. So, one of the things uh, I would recommend is first finding out your credit score, just the basic. It's a 1-800 number in which you can get all your free credit scores. Find out your credit score and what's on your credit. That's if you don't know what's on your credit, how can you correct it? All right. So then once you find that out, start disputing everything. Now I don't want to keep going. I don't want to overstep my time and stuff like that. But
Absolutely. Good information.
what's that?
No, absolutely. Keep going.
Okay. So Uh, there's ways online that you can dispute your credit, but I wouldn't recommend that because those are automated responses. So anything you dispute on your credit, you actually want to write. So it'll be a person responding, and then the person can actually look at it, either throw it out or respond to your dispute. So that's first and foremost. Find out what's on your credit, and then just start assessing. Okay, why are you doing everything? uh there's a lot of people, even my family, they pay $1,200 in rent, $1,500 in rent. I'm like, man, you paying that much in rent? You can, you know use me. I tell them, please use me, don't abuse me, just use me, as a person that can guide you. And then, because right now you're just throwing away money and you're throwing away generational wealth. So once I started reading that book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, everything just opened up. From then on, I had the mindset: listen, I'm poor anyway, right? What's the worst that can happen? I'm gonna be poor. You know what I mean? If I fail, so just don't be afraid of failing. Try. So This was back when I was about probably about 15, 16 years ago. I bought five houses or 10 units in 1 month. And I applied everything in that book and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, wow, I actually got money back. I got 20,000 back on the deal with no money down, which is ridiculous. I'm thinking it's a scam, but it's not, So after that, started being a landlord, has ups and downs, just got to persevere, but and just figure out ways how to make that passive income. I don't want to, I can talk later on about just passive income, but like what I said, just one of the first things, just figure out what's on your credit and then start disputing that. Uh,
And we have a
just,
question too.
what's that?
I said, and we somebody had a question, and you can jump back in at home buying. What credit score do you need, and how much should one put down? So, what would be an average credit score when you're thinking about buying a home?
Well, it all depends. Like if you're a first time home buyer, if you're just your second or third time, that's all depends. I would say, just strive to be better, like 620, 640. You know,
Yeah.
when I first started out, my credit score was in the 500s, So, and don't be afraid to talk about it. A
Yeah.
lot of people are, especially in our community, people don't want to tell you how much money they make. People don't want to tell you their credit score. People don't want to tell you. Don't be afraid. You know what I mean? Listen, I'm trying to better myself. So that's what you got. You got to throw your ego out the door. So that's the one thing I had to humble myself. I'm like, listen, I need some help. So if my credit score is in the 500s, 620, then I finally bought me my first house. I'm like, oh, let's keep going. Let's see what happens next. So just my personal experience, just surround yourself by like-minded people too. That's one of the biggest things. Like talking to seeing the young brother there, you guys surround yourself with like-minded people because at that point in time, I was with somebody. I had an ex-girlfriend, so I remember she used to be in my ear. How you gonna buy a house with no money? I said, listen, we're about to find out. You know what I mean? I'm broke anyways. What's the worst that can happen? You know what I mean? Yeah. So then once I bought the 5 units, or with 5 houses, 10 units in 1 month, you guess what? The first month she was like, oh, can I see some of that money? No. You was
You doubted me.
yeah, you doubted me. You know what I mean? You doubted me. So surround yourself by people that think, that's trying to be a better person. I highly recommend that. A mentor. Listen, I got a mentor that's younger than me. You know what I mean? For real, because he got so much knowledge. And that's one thing, always have a mentorship. But to answer her question, I would say like 620 if this is your first time buying a house. Look at, start going. Like, don't take no, okay? It's okay. No is, you know what I mean? You go to one bank, they say no, guess what? Go to the next. Go to the next. It's literally hundreds of banks that want to give you business. They don't make money unless they give you business. So don't be discouraged. Keep going, okay? And then you'll find it's all kinds of programs. If you just Google it, I think first time I got a $5,000 grant, first time home
Yeah.
buyer. So just don't be discouraged, but find out your credit score too. Credit Karma is decent, it's okay, but don't get caught into disputing with Credit Karma because they will give you the cookie cutter response, like no,
Yeah.
you know, handwrite your dispute. So
Yeah, and Tevin has a question, so not to cut you off. And then when you're handwriting those dispute, what I've learned is when you put your account numbers or whatever you're disputing, make sure you put the account numbers, the address, and the name. Put that in a
yep,
different color. Like put it in
yep,
blue. Because if you put it all in the same color as black, it automatically generates a generic response, is what you were saying.
correct,
If you make the letter in like the regular word and put it in black, but if you put the account numbers at the bottom in a different color and use blue. I've used this before. That's the only reason I can tell y'all this. And it generates more of a person versus an automatic one to ask you to send in information and actually dispute and work. I don't care whether if you knew it was yours or not, you dispute everything because some accounts may have been off. I don't care what is off. Unless it's down to the
yep.
penny and I absolutely feel like it's mine, I'm dispute each and everything that's on there. Tevin, what was your question?
I was just gonna go back into the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Which key aspects do you think specifically helped you and what changed you from that book? Because it sounds really interesting. And I like the concept where you said you're only trying to better yourself. I feel like that's
Correct.
almost everyone in our community. So
Correct.
how did that
That book,
help you better yourself?
I gotta be outright. I wasn't a big book reader, okay? But when it comes to money, I can keep reading forever. But that book, uh, yeah, seriously, just trying to be a better person. So it's one like Retire Young, Retire Rich is one. Okay. That's a thicker book. It talks about stocks and S corporations, C corporations, things like that, and LLCs. So in just to piggyback off that, one of the things that when you do apply for credit cards and try to get your credit
Yeah.
better, please get yourself an LLC with some type. I don't care if it's cleaning toilets. I don't care if it's shoveling snow. Get you an LLC, because then you can get you a credit card. Hopefully, of course, sometimes it's based on your personal credit, but keep getting. If you can figure out a way to get you a business credit card, and now I must tell you, like some business credit cards don't report to your personal. All right, like I know American Express doesn't. I think U.S. Bank doesn't. So you can literally, now I'm giving you game. Now this is not, this is this is game right here. So you can start transferring your personal credit to your business to increase your credit score. You know what I'm saying? So all you're doing is just, your job is just playing with money, just moving it around. You know, seriously. Okay, let me move 5,000 on this credit card to my business. Okay, now guess what? My personal credit score goes up because American Express, the Dial Group don't report to my personal credit. You understand what I'm saying, young blood? I mean, what's your first name? I'm sorry.
Tevin.
Yes, Tevin. Sorry.
Okay, so it's a lot of tips. I can talk for hours and hours and hours about just credit tips and stuff like that. But that's one. Applying for credit cards. If they tell you no, try to get a credit card. A secure credit card basically is your own money, and just go to the gas station and pay it back ASAP. I mean, that's credit 101. You know what I mean? So and then after that, like I said, figure out, get you an LLC. Go to the Department of Finance Institute.
Westminster Department of WDFI.
Yeah, WDFI. It costs like roughly 140, 150-ish. So, and I tell young brothers, I say, man, listen, your life depends on you. Your kid's life depends on this. So instead of buying some Jordans, or no, do this now. Do this now. You know what I mean? So, and then after that, it's all about playing the game, playing the literally game of Monopoly.
Yeah. And a
Any
lot of
other
times
questions?
when we talked about like we didn't grow up with that, it's like the knowledge that you have now, you can't go back and change your past, but you can absolutely change your present and future with it. And so just knowing it, and like you said, like credit is the way of the world. I know I have people in my family that really didn't believe in banks, so they kept all of this money on them. But when you wanted to go buy something, unless you had that exact amount of money, you wasn't able to purchase because you never established any credit. So I know some people say, no, I don't know about putting my money into an institution or a bank, or I don't know about credit cards and things of that nature, but that's building credit and that's the way of the world. And so, like you said, who else went and brought like a 10 unit? You know what I'm saying? Most people don't have the cash to do it, but if you have the credit in your name and the credit score to do it, then you can buy it with credit and utilize that to get more money.
Exactly. That's just leveraging. Just use that credit card. You can actually buy houses with credit cards. With checks. So yeah, I tell people like this. Credit, because some people are credit. You ask some people like, hey, I don't want any credit cards, and I'm gonna, if I don't got the money, I ain't paying for it. I'm like, all right, cool. But you gotta treat credit like a gun. Credit can save your life, or it can kill you. Seriously, if you don't know what you're doing. So don't be afraid of credit. Do not be. That's the way of the world. That's how OPM or OPT. That's one of the things the book will tell you about. OPM, other people's money. OPT, other people's time. Okay, so you make money by the bank's money, and then you won't get to the point where you don't even need a bank. You know what I mean? And that's moving up levels. That's talking about lines of credit versus loans and stuff like that. But I don't want to get too deep in that. But
That's
seriously,
that's
because
people need to know that though.
well, don't if you want the best way to go is lines of credit. Okay, don't take a loan. And I'm talking about just if you need. I went to it was Old National Bank like 2 years ago, and I specifically told them, I want a line of credit for X, Y, and Z, and they came back with a check for like a lot of money, like 40, 50,000. Okay, so I actually gave. I couldn't believe it. I gave them their money back. I like, I don't want this. Like I because I wanted a line of credit. You know why? Because I don't have to pay it back until I actually use it. Now when I have a loan, guess what? I have to 2 months later, or 45 days later, there's a payment on it. Now, if I ain't moved that money or did something with it, I'm stuck. So always, always, always lines of credit, lines of credit and lines of credit runs the world. Don't if you can help it, don't get a loan. I'm talking about now. Of course, if you need a mortgage, that's something else. But I'm talking about if you have a business and you're trying to scale your business, get a line of credit, not a loan.
Right. And I was told everybody should have some type of business. And I feel like as go getter and people who wants to make it, it was a book and it was a chart that said in order to even live an okay life, and we're not saying luxury, you need about 5 to 7 streams of income. And I know a person to look and say that's too much. I'm not going to work 5 or 7 jobs, but it's not necessarily saying jobs because I often tell people, especially like people within my family, either you go build somebody else's dream and empire or you go build your own. And I get it, for some people, a 9 to 5 is the way to go. It's helped a lot of people buy houses, be able to invest. But I also think about like the generation now, and I call them go getters for some of them. And if you want to leverage that and go further, then who dream are you going to build? Because if you can go to work and work for somebody for 14 hours, come home and not be satisfied, then what are you doing? And so I usually go by the 3 P's. Your passion leads to your purpose that then produces your paycheck. Because if I'm doing something that I'm passionate about, if it's aligned with my purpose, it's not work to me. You know what I'm saying? It's something that I got inside of me that I want to give out. So you figure out what that lane is and you make it work for you. And usually that's what I tell my babies, my family, my friends. And it doesn't matter what age you is. It can be somebody young or older. It's never too late to start doing something that you want to do. I know a lot of people say like I'm not going to change my career, but then that's where that side hustle or that business come in. I feel like everybody has one of those. That's just me.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna kick it back to Malaya, then I'm gonna come back to you with the stocks because I think, especially in communities of color, we don't really know a lot about stocks. So for the grants and the things that you were talking about, again, I know we mentioned three. I just want to reiterate what those were. One was for $250,
Yes.
and what was the amount for the other ones?
250. Right. Malia, what's the grant amounts?
Then the other two were our Ignite grant level, so that was up to 2,500, 2,500, supporting projects that have a developed concept and a team ready in place to execute that. And then our third and the highest is up to 7,500, 7,500. This is really for those projects that are up and running, already ready to go, and just are seeking additional funding to support the project or even expand it. Maybe they're partnering with an organization in the neighborhood, and so they're looking for additional support for that.
Okay. And Malaya, I don't know if you can, but
Mm-hmm.
Malia, I'm sorry. For Miss
It's
Serena,
okay.
if we can just get that link to make sure that we drop it in there for those individuals who may want more information on what they may need to apply for those. And all of those are running now concurrent, or is it only the one for 7,500 that you can apply for at this time?
Nope.
It's the
Yep.
whole thing. It's for the it is the whole grant. It's when you apply for this grant, you apply for you can apply for 7,500. And then depending on what you apply for, depending on how your grant comes back, how you submit your information, that sort of thing, then the committee then we review the applications, the grant applications, and all the information, and we make our final opinion off
Mm-hmm.
based off of really your information. But I talked to we and Malia talked earlier, and I asked her because I know there's probably some people who might not live in that area, um, and so she's going to tell you about some other grants that are that you can apply for if you know if you're not in that area for the thriving community because there are other grants that you can apply for. So, Malia, can you tell them the information about that?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
That'd be great.
Is that something that um Miss Taylor, I should just drop in the chat, or did you want me to
No, I would ask
spend
that you
some time?
speak it, and then when you drop the
Okay.
links in the chat, then that way other individuals can come and see it. But I think them hearing about what they are may
Yeah.
also drive them to say, "Hey, let me go see if this is something that I can apply for."
Yeah, awesome. Okay, cool. Yeah, so some other resources in the neighborhood in terms of like grants and other funding opportunities. Um, are one our Thrive On. So it's very similar to our Thriving Communities
Yeah,
grant right
Thrive
now that we're
On.
talking about. Yeah. So Thriving Communities is focused on Sherman Park East and North Division, what Miss Farina and I are speaking about tonight. And then there's a Thrive On, which is supporting three other neighborhoods. So that's Harambe, Halliard Park, and Brewers Hill. And their application is also open. So if you're an organization also doing youth programming in those neighborhoods, that application is where you would go if you're looking for funds to support your project. There's also the MKE Response Fund. Their current cycle two, well, their cycle two just passed, but their upcoming cycle three will open in August, so later this summer. August 23rd. And this is not neighborhood specific. This is more topic issue specific. So they cover 6 different areas. This is food access and shelter, healthy birth outcomes, early childhood education facility updates, community capacity. So that does get at a bit of the neighborhood community development piece. Arts and culture, as well as workforce development. So, if you're working in any of these areas and you're planning on doing something, later in the spring, like next spring, this is probably a grant opportunity that you may want to look at. And then there's also the Design Your Future Summer Fellowship. So I'm so glad, Tevin, that you're here because I would encourage you to apply to the Design Your Future Summer Fellowship. And this is a virtual fellowship opportunity for 6 weeks for youth ages 13 to 20. And there is a stipend available. So when I think about how do we, like something you said earlier, Tevin, about like, folks who have the money, right? Like thinking about how we should invest is really thinking about like what sorts of talents and skills that youth can bring that we may not see as like typical. For me, like that was really empowering, like powerful to hear. Because we do want to leverage those talents and skills of youth. And one way to directly do it, right, is to like pay you for your time and your talents. So this summer fellowship, right, has this, I'm talking about that because they have a stipend available. So I'll definitely drop that link too for the application. It's open until May 31st. And these opportunities, some of them are through GMF and then some are not through GMF, but they're just things that that I thought would be good to highlight. Let me know, Miss Farina, if I missed anything.
No, I think you did pretty good.
And so for the youth one, is there a age limit or for that one?
For the
Is it
for the
is it
summer
like
fellowship.
11 or 18 year for the summer future one?
Yeah, that one age limit is 13 to 20 years old.
Oh wow, that's a good eight. Yeah, definitely drop that in there. And then for the other one that you said is not neighborhood specific, the next
Yeah.
one starts in August, but Is that just for to apply for it, but then you have to use it for next year, or what is the timeline after August that you can apply or receive monies for that one?
Yeah, so
Thrive
that
Plan.
one, oh, the issue specific one that I was talking about that had like 6 different areas, right? That application, so the application opens in August. So that's when you can, towards the end of August, August 23rd, that's when you can start applying. Um, the application, I believe, is open for a month. And then I'm going to check real quick so that I don't give you the wrong information, but I think it's open for a month. And then there is some time um, following after that where the board, so it's a different process than it is with the grant application that me and Miss Farina talked about. So um, they meet and let's see. Oh, it doesn't say when funds are actually available. So that I'll follow up and get that information to you, Ms. Taylor, about sort of when funds would be available. But the application runs from August 23rd to September 13th. So I'm thinking funds will probably be spent like in the spring. Funds will be available for spring programming.
So you can ask. Tevin has a question.
I just want to ask if you could
Yeah.
elaborate one more time a little bit more on what that is about during the summer. And because it's not just for youth like me, but other youth who may not know this opportunity or know
For
anything
13 to
about it.
20-year-old.
A 13 to
Oh
20 year old.
yeah,
If you could
definitely.
elaborate
Yeah.
a bit
Yep. Yeah. So this is called the Design Your Future Summer Fellowship. So this came out of a initiative called the Youth Forward MKE, where GMF's in under GMF's umbrella, an extension, I guess, project. MKE Succeeds. They're the ones that kind of this is their thing. So I hope I do them justice by trying to summarize their work. But they are really looking at targeting um, the successful high school graduation rate for Black male youth in the city of Milwaukee. So, one of the ways that they're aiming to do this is to create the summer cohort to come together and learn from one another. So it's just the actual convening of people together that sometimes can, really organize folks in a space. And then because it's called Design Your Future, a big part of the fellowship is then to really answer the question, like how would you rethink education to improve outcomes for Black male youth in the city of Milwaukee? So really wanting to build out the solutions from the youth themselves who have the expertise because they have the lived experiences. And so this is a 6-week long virtual fellowship running from the end of June to the end of July. So about a month and a half. And like I said, a stipend is available for those who are, who are part of the summer fellowship cohort. And there's some leadership training available, some coaching to kind of build some of those life skills, right? And then as well as, having there will be some expert consultations about how do you sort of what does it look like to go from the design and the development and implementation, go through all of those phases of a project development. So a lot of like hands-on skills and also a lot of like personal and leadership growth is what the fellowship is. My best way of summarizing what the fellowship is about. I hope that helped a little bit, Tevin. Let me know.
It did. Thank you very much. Just wanted you to elaborate. Thank you.
Thank you. And
Yeah,
for
of
those who
course.
are listening, or you know some youth that are 13 and 20 years old, make sure that you get this information to them. We're often talking about the youth and what they're going to do this summer. We know Earn and Learn has some jobs, but this is another opportunity for them to actually get some money and get skills to better themselves as well too. And if you are in an organization that works with youth or within that Charmin area, make sure you check out some of these grants that they have available. I think it's a great opportunity, and we need to make sure that those resources go back into the community, but also we need to make sure that people are knowledgeable about them, and know that there are some resources out there. A lot of times there's grants, and people say there's opportunities out here, but if we haven't given the opportunities to those who need it most, I often say we did a disservice. So I'm truly thankful that Miss Farina and Malaya reached out because they wanted more people to know about the Greater Milwaukee Foundation and all of the great work that they're doing. But they wanted people to apply for the resources and money and to make sure
Yes.
that they were aware. Look, they like, yes. They was like, what can we do? And I was
Please
like, hey,
apply.
let's make sure we get the word out. It isn't a lack of people
Yes.
looking for funding. I can tell you that right now. So I'm grateful for that. So now, Anthony, we're gonna come back to you and talk about stocks. And I'm probably more excited, y'all, because I just got into the
Well,
stock game. I am by way no expert. I
well,
always tag Kim and a couple other people to follow their advice. Who got me started in stocks was actually my 17-year-old daughter, who came to me a year ago and was telling me that she was purchasing stock. And if most people know her, she remind me of she's my most sensible kid, very intellectual, but she's quiet. And so she'll spend all of her money in none of hers. So now I know why. She just know better than the rest of us, and she know to invest it. And she had told me she had started investing in stocks, and I was shocked. And so I tried my hand at it. I'm still learning. But I do believe there's another investment that's not always privy or talked about within communities of color. And it's definitely something we need to have our hand in. I remember the Black Wall Street and talk about it, but I do believe we're in a different day and age here. So any tips
yeah,
you have,
that's,
any encouragement?
yeah, that's pretty cool. You know, I wouldn't classify myself as a stock expert. Definitely
Okay.
credit, leveraging, stuff like that. I do put money in cryptocurrency. Now, mind you, I didn't say invest because cryptocurrency is not an investment. Some people think it is. It is not. You know, but like I was telling you guys prior, I use the bank's money. I use other people's money to put money in cryptocurrency. Like I mentioned last year, Dogecoin. Now, and now you see Dogecoin has exploded. You know, after
Yes.
uh, yeah, if I would kept all my money in there, I did the calculations, I would have close to half a million. You know, based off of like $1,500 investment. So I got made some money off of it, but and I would advise people use other people's money, use the bank's money. And prior, I told you about lines of credit, and that's all I did. I'm using the bank's money. Now, of course, if I lose it, I gotta pay it back. You know, so that's a risk with anything I'm willing to take. But you gotta have a exit strategy. You know, a lot of times I see people on Facebook, they just leave it in, leave it in, leave it in. Cryptocurrency is not an investment. So um, figure out what is your exit strategy as far as, okay, if you want to make 1,500, 200, it can be daily, stuff like that. So that's pretty much what I specialize in, just investing in crypto. Like you can say day trading in a sense, but Ethereum is a good one. Right now everything is down. You have a lot of manipulation with Elon Musk and other influencer on social media, but that's something I enjoy doing. It's not a lot of risk to me because, like I said, I'm using other people's money, so it's fine. I do want to touch on something, if you don't mind, Ms. Taylor, that something you said as far as streams of income, right? Multiple streams of income. Is that okay?
Yes, absolutely. And then before you go to that, just because somebody just asked about the lines of credit, then go back. They wanted to know. So, are you saying lines of credit is actually a credit card, or what's the distinction between the lines of credit versus a credit card?
Actually a great question. Really, it's either or. All right. So, like take for instance my home equity line. Really, they give me that on a credit card. So, as long as I rather have a credit card or a line of credit, or it's pretty much the same thing. Of course, pay attention to your interest rate, and that's why that's why home ownership is so important, because when you have a home equity line of credit, your interest rate is naturally lower than it would be in a credit card. You understand what I'm saying? So you can take money from a credit card. Let's say Menards, because I just did this last week. Okay, doing the kitchen, so I have to put a lot of money. And Menards is a big ripoff. Just so you know, I got that 11%. Because I got 800 credit score and they still charging 25% interest rate, which is ridiculous.
Oh my
So
God.
I see why they give 11%, because they making money. If you don't know, if you don't pay attention to that, so what I do is transfer everything from my Menards card to my home equity line of credit, which is, I don't know, 3 point, 4 point something,
Yeah.
and save that difference. If you do the math, you could be saving thousands and thousands of dollars per year just off that. So pay attention to those interest rates. But that's a good good question. Uh, Really, I would highly recommend a home equity line of credit. Highly recommend that. You know, if I get into it, I change my whole mortgage to a home equity line. Uh,
Wow. Okay.
yeah, I pay. You want me to tell you? Listen, I'm about to tell you all my tea now. I don't want to give you all my
Okay. 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 Give us some of it. Give us some of it.
for two houses, I pay $130 for two houses. Two.
What?
My payments every month is $130, and that's based off my home equity line. Because
Two two
uh,
houses is 130. I just want to reiterate for people that's listening,
yeah,
because I just got a home and I'm just trying to phantom in my head a
two,
$130 payment for two houses. Okay.
two, and one of those houses is worth
So I
over
know Kevin said, are you talking about each or you talking about together? Because we both over here
two
like
together. Now, mind you,
together.
that's not with the taxes.
You
That's not with the
listen, you
taxes.
got everybody ear that's live. They like, what? Okay. So break
Now,
it down.
and I don't mind sharing. Listen, a lot of people, will charge you for this game and stuff like that. Listen, my job is to help my people. That's how I feel. So, uh, it's kind of complicated, but it's really not. So basically, in America, it's a big scam. The mortgage companies, big scam. I'm sorry. Hope there's no bankers. Hope there's no bankers on the panel.
You just speaking the truth.
And that's how America operates. That's how economics operates, based on more. So, anyways, so you actually can flip your mortgage to a home equity line. So instead of everything being amortized over 30 years, because it'd be the same payments your first month versus on the last payment of 30 years.
Yeah.
Now, your equity line of credit is based on how much money you have parked in your home equity line. Now, I'm going to need like probably a long time to explain this. So basically, if once you get charged based on what you have in the home equity line. So basically, I don't have a checking account. I got like $10 in my checking account because I park my money in my home equity line. So every month, every time I get paid, it goes down, bills goes back up, goes down, goes back up, goes down, boom, until it's paid. And then you can pay off your home in 5 years with that. So
Wow.
now, some banks won't tell you about that. Some banks don't even know it. Like, I went to my banks, they were looking at me crazy. Like, what? You want
I know.
you got 3.4 interest rate. Why would you want to, change this to a home equity line of credit, which is a variable rate, which goes up and
Yeah.
down? It's
Yeah.
not based. It's not amortized. My payments is based on how much money I have parked there, in the home equity line. So, like I said, let's say, for instance, let's just take an easy number, like 100,000. Okay. Now, okay, let's say I get paid. After a month, it goes down. Me and my wife, and so it goes down to like 96. Okay, bills. So I get charged on how much for that month. I get charged on the 96,000. Okay, now it goes back up to 98. All right, then I get paid again. I park it in there. It goes down to like 94. All right, pay some bills. It goes up to 96. All right, get paid again. It goes down to 92. So I just park my money because your money is no good in a checking account. You're not making no money on that. All right, I
Wow.
probably like show you guys on the graph how it operates. There's lots of stuff on YouTube about home equity lines versus mortgages. I know in Australia and from what I read, Great Britain, they do this all the time. Uh, so it's just one of the tools I use to become my own bank, and that's the goal. You want to become your own bank. You don't want to rely on the bank. You want to get to the point where if you need some money, guess what? I got the money in my home equity line. People been,
Yeah.
you know, that's how people send their kids to these wealthy schools. That's how people, hey, honey, I need a truck. Okay, let's use the home equity line of credit. That's how certain ethnicities been having a 400 years advantage on head start on us. In this time that I'll give you this gift of knowledge. Regarding the home equity line. Versus renting versus mortgages. Become your own bank. You don't get to the point where you don't need the bank. So, based, in 2 months from now, I'm gonna go to the bank and say, hey, I need I want my house reappraised, and I want another home equity line. Even larger. It's not what I did with the kitchen. Now, let's say I have over 200,000 in a home equity line. Now, if I want to go buy a property from the city of Milwaukee or wherever, I can. I don't need to go and, hey, I need a mortgage. I don't need to.
Yeah.
I can just buy it with cash. You know what I mean? And so it's complicated, but it's not. I would highly recommend it because I know we got a short amount of time. Just folks to
No,
go.
that's good. But you got a okay. So and to be really transparent, like you said, hey, I got an 800 credit score. A lot of people ain't there. So the idea of what you said, I think is great too, because now you got me thinking because I just bought a home. So I guess my question now, I got a question: would it be a certain amount of time before you say, hey, switch over to a home equity line of credit versus
Yeah,
a mortgage? And then what about somebody? Let's just be honest. Like you said, you came from a 500 credit score. Somebody that got a 500 or 600 that's not up to the 800, because with that credit
yeah,
score, it's like people throw stuff at you when you over 800. When you
yeah,
over 7, really, like there's a difference in what you can get, the rates and things like that. Like I got a really
mm,
good interest rate. I got 2.3% interest rate. And it would
yeah,
have been like, let's just say a 2.7, but because I had extra money coming from the seller, I was able to buy down points to get to that interest rate,
yeah.
and that's a whole probably different topic that we won't be able to do
No, it's good. It's a
today.
good topic.
Yeah, it's a really good topic, and I think people need to
Yeah,
understand it, how you can buy them points down and then set yourself in a very good interest rate for a house versus having, when I was younger, I've had one before when it was like 14%, not knowing, but being a first time homeowner. But as you grow, you grow in knowledge. But for those individuals
yeah,
that possibly won't have an 800 or 700 or even maybe a high 600 credit score, would this look different for them? Being able to have the
yes,
home equity line, absolutely, versus having that mortgage.
yes. I think as long as you make more money than what you spend, the home equity line versus the mortgage will work. So like I said, it will go up, go down, go up a little bit, go down based on how much money you park in the home equity line. So, but for those that are just starting out, I would just recommend just know your credit score. It's expensive. Trust me, I know it's expensive to be poor. You know what I mean? So just get that knowledge, learn. Uh, Whether every year to this day, every year, January 4th, I call and get my credit report sent to my house. Because I want to know what's on there. Of course, you can check online too. And then I would recommend if you do have a credit card, always ask every 6 months. I set my calendar for an increase. Always ask. I don't care what credit card it is. It could be a JL Marcus credit card. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So ask for that. Hey, I need an increase. Well, why? I'm doing some work on my house. So I need because what it's going to do is going to increase your credit score. So also it's like some credit cards don't ask. I would not recommend you putting your spouse or anybody on your credit card initially. I'm sorry.
No, you're
Yeah,
good. Keep going. Tab got a question for you, but
yeah,
keep going. We
yeah. I wouldn't
listening.
recommend you putting. I wouldn't recommend you putting your spouse or anybody on your credit card initially, or somebody that lives in your house initially, because you're messing up your leverage. So some credit cards will ask you if you have a wife or a husband. Some
You
don't.
want to add
So,
authorized user.
correct. That's a good way to help people get their credit. But initially, if somebody's credit decent along with you, let's say, your spouse, for instance, have them apply too. So I'm going to apply. So let's say I get 10,000 in credit, then she get 10,000. So we just increase our leverage by 10,000, you know, and then you put me on yours, okay, you put me on mine. Cool. You know what I mean? So that's
I like
that
that.
way you have more leverage.
Yeah. And, and Tab got one, so Tab jump in. And so I've heard two different ways because I've learned now if your child is over 13, because I did it with mine, you can add them to a credit card to start establishing credit. Then somebody else said, well, there's no reason to add them at 13. Wait till they're 17, about to be 18, because it doesn't help them. So is there a difference? Because at the age of 13 or 14, you can't add them to a credit card. But I usually tell people if you're going to add them to one that you pay. Don't give them the credit cards that you use. You know, I did it with my 20-some-year-old. And so when we looked up her credit, she only had two positive lines, and they want you to have 5 to 7, sometimes 9 to 11. But her positive lines was because I put her on my credit card, but I didn't give her a credit card. You know, you got to be
Yep.
smart with it too to help her build credit. So is it a myth to say, yeah, because you can put them on at 13 or 14, or should you absolutely just wait till they're at that 17 age, about to be 18, to help them build? And then Tab, what was your
Okay.
message?
I was just gonna ask, coming from someone who, doesn't really have like a credit card or invested in anything, where would you really start? This is sounding like a lot for the future, but more so, what if you're starting at
He'll
Well,
be
ground zero?
18.
well,
Yeah.
Correct.
yeah,
He'll be
definitely
18.
apply.
Just
How,
apply.
how old is he?
I am 17.
17. Yeah, start. You just now, like I said in the beginning of this broadcast, credit card can save you a lot. It can kill you or save you. Okay. Now think in terms like don't be afraid of it. So a lot of people are like, oh no, I don't want credit cards. No, but that's the way of the world now. All right. So apply for credit cards and hopefully you get it. If you don't, apply again. Apply to another. Somebody will give you a credit card. And then, like I said before, when you go to the gas station and buy some M&Ms, use your credit card, even though you got the $5 on you or whatever, and then pay that ASAP.
Yep.
All right. Go to a payday loan if you, and then don't spend the money. Just keep the money for a week and pay them back. Stuff like that. That's how you can build your credit. Uh, you know. So yeah, don't payday loan and spend the
Yeah,
money
because the
though.
interest are ridiculous.
So then before we go anywhere, it's all really about credit, correct? Before we start
Man, the
investing,
world
because I know
is
a little bit about like stocks and like stock market. It's really interesting too. Buy stuff, wait a little bit, wait till it grows, and then take it out. And you don't
correct.
have like a huge lump sum of money. You just wait on it. It also goes a little bit
Correct.
into retirement too, because I actually worked for just a grocery store, and I learned that the longer you work there, you have like a certain they give you like a bond, that like a certain amount of stock or bond,
Yep. I'm just
and then
looking
when
for
you're able,
questions.
sorry,
No, keep going. Just looking for questions. Yeah.
yeah, and once you able to retire, you take that money out, and however long you work there, you're able to compile a lot of money based on that. It's almost like
Yeah,
bringing
that
money back.
compound interest.
Interest, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So you learning, man. Credit is everything. Credit saved my life. Credit is everything. Because it will help you build passive income. Streams of income. Like, but before I start talking about that, let me answer Mrs. Taylor's question about the teenager situation with credit. I never had to deal with that personally, but I would recommend that you put that individual, the child, as early as you can. The longer the credit history, the better. So, of course, like you said,
Thank you.
credit card that you actually pay and use. So,
Yeah. No, I don't give them the cards. I
no, don't give them the
keep the
card.
cards. No, I just let
No.
them build the credit. I keep the cards.
Yep. Exactly. And then, rotate your credit cards too. I have a safe in which I rotate my credit cards because after a while, if you don't use them, they be dormant and then they'll actually reduce the credit limit and then will
Yep.
hurt you or even close it. So you want to be mindful of, like, say you have 10 credit cards, which is, decent. You want to keep them in rotation. Well, you don't know nothing about CDs, so I ain't gonna tell you about that. so, but yeah, so basically your credit will help you build passive income, like what Ms. Taylor talked about before. You want to have different streams of income, and that's something I had to learn too. When I was talking about my business doing investigations, I'm like, okay, I'm charging people every time I do an investigation. You got to figure out how to scale your business. Okay, so all right, so what I thought of, how about this? How about you pay me X amount per month for retention for 3 years? All right, whether you need an investigation or not. And that's how I started scaling my business. as far as with investigations. So let's take for instance, you know the story about McDonald's. Anything? Anybody? So how really McDonald's was formed? There's a movie on Netflix. I think it's Netflix or one of them streaming. So it's called The Founder. So it's how an individual named Ray Kroc, I believe his name was, that actually took McDonald's from the people. Their last names were McDonald's. He took
Wow.
McDonald's from and then sued them so they couldn't use their name. But there was a point in the show in which he thought his job was selling burgers, and then a person told him like, "Listen, your job really, your business is not selling burgers. Your business is real estate."
Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
buying all the real estate from the actual McDonald's people, and he started scaling his business like that. So he thought, okay, I'm not really in the business of selling hamburgers. I'm in the business of real estate. You understand what I'm saying? Like
Yeah. McDonald's is international, right?
it's international, but he started making his money off real estate, owning the McDonald's, not selling burgers. So he scaled that business. Like take even now, take for instance these phones companies. I was just telling one of my friends like Verizon, ATM, AT&T, Apple. Remember when phones used to be like $100 and 150 at the most, and you know they started charging people $1,200 for a phone. You
Yes.
know, phone business really, they're in the finance business. They finance so people pay $50 and finance it for 60 months or what have you to have a phone that they're gonna change out probably in 3 to 4 years.
Mm.
Right. Or 3 to 4
Their
months
business,
before you
they're
get a new one.
correct. And if you look now, shoes are doing that now. For some Jordans, I be seeing online. Yeah, you can pay 4 installments of $89 and stuff
Oh
like that
wow.
because they
And they be doing the
keep
same
raising their
thing.
price and raising their price. And actually, these companies are in the finance business.
Wow. That's good to know. I just want to make sure that I say like the broadcast is produced by PWR Media, and this episode is sponsored by Reed's New Golden Gate Funeral Home. I truly thank you for sponsoring us, for giving back to the community and allowing us to have this platform. I thank PWR Media for their expertise and always being there, but taking us to a different media level, which is a style of excellence. So I needed to make sure you guys, I shout out my sponsors. All right, all right. We're gonna be wrapping it up too. And this is a lot of great information. I don't know if anybody got anything out of there, but if nobody else got something out of today, I feel like me and Seven did. And then for those looking for grants, if you not go hook up with the Greater Milwaukee Foundation, I feel like you just flushing that money down the toilet because they're trying to give it away. They're saying, "Come and get this
Come and get
money.
it.
We got it for you. Come and get the money." We always talk about money. We talk about grants. We talk about resources. Here's the organization saying we have a specific area for most of our grants, but guess what? We have some that you don't necessarily have to live within this area, and we want to give you the money. They're forcing it on you. Of course, there are some requirements or stipulations for any money that you get, but they're also saying they made the application so that it's not one of them applications that you don't even want to do the process. We've had those when we wanted to apply for a grant, and you were probably so frustrated with the application process and the questions and how what you turn in that you decided to not do it. This isn't the Greater Milwaukee Foundation. It says Greater Milwaukee, you know what I'm saying, and a city on the Great Lakes. So I think that's a great thing too. Anthony, listen, you took us in with the stocks, with the credit, with the line of credit, the home equity. I'm gonna go back home and look look into some stuff myself. But this is information that we need because I'm gonna be honest, I didn't come from that household. Like my mother, they never talked about it. I know I'm in a political arena. People, I didn't come from a political or financial background household, and so I learned a lot of things by trial and error. Not knowing how to build up my credit, not knowing about credit, and at one point having semi good credit and then messing it up by either helping other people do things that was within my family, and not just really knowing the knowledge, but now that I know it, and I want to tell those people that had to start over, what I'm saying? Like I filed bankruptcy. I'm very transparent in my life because I don't want somebody to hear us talking about credit and building, and they feel like, hey, that's not me. I can't do it. You can start over at any time in your life. You can dispute now, and your story won't be my story. Your story won't be Anthony's story, but your story will be yours. And so you can start today to say, hey, let me get my credit report. Let me dispute everything. And I was told before it was every 30 days. send it out. But if you want to send it out before then, make sure you generate a different color for them account numbers, or they're going to just send you a generic thing saying, hey, they looked at it and they're not going to take anything off. Um, but you can start working on that now. And maybe you saying, hey, I don't want to buy a house. Maybe I don't want to have a business, but even something to leave to our children, because I'm building a legacy when I want my grandchildren to be able to live off of what I did now in my present, in my future. And so that's the legacy I want to leave behind. Not shoes, not clothes. And if you know me, I love shoes, but I want them to be financially educated. And a lot of people talk about within a black community. And I just want to say this because I looked up these numbers maybe a year ago or a year and a half, and it may have changed. The black dollar generates one time, if once, within our community before it leaves. But in the Jewish community, their dollar circulates at least 13 times within their own community before it leaves their community and goes to somebody else's community. And I can go down a whole list of line. And so when people say there's no money in the ghetto, if that's what they call it, because I love my city, I don't believe it's the ghetto. There is, because if there was not any money, people wouldn't come into our neighborhoods bringing businesses so that they can get paid. And so I often feel like if we can come together and collaborate on what does it mean to empower each other. That way I know about a grant. I may not be able to get the grant that's at the Greater Milwaukee Foundation. That does not mean I don't know five more people that should apply for it. And so we have to learn to be helpers of one another. There's a lot of money out here. There's a lot of knowledge. And I'm gonna say this one last thing because Kevin got something to say. I talked to someone within the Asian community, and within the Arabian community, and I wanted to know, how do you guys make it? Because a lot of times we see them with stores and gas stations, and they told me this. They said if we have a group of 10 of us who want to start a business, they said let's just say we all have $1,000, and some of us don't have it. They said we each decide who's going to be that front runner, and we all put in $1,000. That's $10,000. They say, and we tell them, you go start your business. And don't get me wrong, maybe it's $50, maybe it's 75 with your friends. They said, but guess what they also do? Because that one person has the business, they go and help them. So they volunteer at the business because they've invested in it and they want to see this person succeed. And so when the time comes around, the person that had that first business, by this time they have people invest and volunteer with and work within them that's in within their family or their circle. So when it comes back around, they probably now have $2,000 to $3,000 to put back into this pot. So now it's Tevin's turn because Sequana has gotten her time. So a couple years down the line or next year, if we can do it, we come back to the circle and we put some money in a pot. And now it's Tevin's turn so that he can get some businesses or he can get some investments going. And we're all going to sow into Tevin. Whatever we have, we're going to sow into him. But then we're going to come and we're going to help him make sure Tevin succeeds. So if he has a restaurant building and I know you know how to cook, but you don't know the finances or how to make lettering, I'm going to make sure I get you connected because that's an investment that I have in you and your family. And so they said that's what they do. And we look at it and we say, hey, it seems like they're doing a lot better than us. They've decided a strategy that works for all of them. And some people may not be able to do it because people go into business, people don't work. But if you truly have a group of people, a lot of us like to do it alone, that you can say we can do some business together or we can help invest. And maybe you don't want to go volunteer, but you're investing in them and that investment might come back twofold or a hundredfold. So just learning the difference. I'm in a whole bunch of national organizations, and when um, the big convention was coming here, the Democratic convention. They were saying, "Oh, we can't wait to come there, Sequana. Show us the Black area in Milwaukee. We want to go. We want to patronize." And don't get me wrong, we have a lot of people of color, whether you're Black, brown, Asian, whatever color, doing a lot of great things. But you know what I couldn't tell them? I can say from 20th to North to 50th to North is what we consider a community of color that own the majority of them buildings. I can say somebody that owns three houses on the same block. And that's not to say you don't have it, but within the same block. And so that's what made me start building Economic Wealth Group, is because I know the money and resources are out there, but how do we leverage that to make sure that our fellow man, sister, or however you want to identify yourself, that they're able to obtain and get those opportunities that we see. And so that's what this is about, building like-minded people to say that we can have our own wealth. There was a community, and I wasn't born in, but I heard about within my family that had dry cleaners, and had businesses here in Milwaukee and they were booming. But some things changed and we no longer see that. But that does not mean we can't supersede what our ancestors had. And so when you think about that, it's building economic wealth, whether you're talking about stock investment, and also it's the mental mind of some people. You know what I'm saying? I often tell people when they say you are what you eat, a lot of times we are what we think about ourselves. So if you are a person of color, I want to tell you that you absolutely can make it. Wealth isn't something that just has to be about money. It can be your mind and your physical as well too. And these individuals that was on a panel today, I wanted to say thank you. And if there's anything that you can leave somebody with today, whether it's a word, it's a sentence, it's a phrase, I would ask that you tell them now because we never know who's watching and listening.
I think knowing a lot more about credit and who we're about to go into, especially into society, learning that credit is basically a world-renowned thing, is a really good knowledge to have. And I would advise you to get into stocks and the stock market as soon as you can. It's not really like it's not the easiest thing, but it's not too hard and it's not boring and it's really actually interesting because you just learn about money. Who doesn't want money? Who doesn't want to know about it? We're all trying to better ourselves in a certain way. So I feel like if we look to certain mentors like this or look in different sources, we can gain grants and like just start up money for your own life. It's your future. So find ways to invest in it.
Thank you, Tevin. And that's coming from our youth leader, y'all. He well on his way. Miss
Real
Serena.
well, Warren. Listen, y'all. We have the money. Quit saying there's no money out there. Yes, it is. We need y'all to apply for the grants. Do not think that you won't get it. You don't know unless you try. We need you to apply for the grant money. The monies for now is the thriving community. It is for you to invest in the youth. And a lot of people say the youth are our future. I say the youth are our now because if we don't invest in them right now,
My word.
then
Yes.
what are they going to know for the future? So we have to invest. And I think another thing is, like Saquana said, we have to learn how to work together. That's how the other people how they make it. They work together. A lot of times we don't want to do that because we're not worried about, well, they might get more than me. But we really need to work together because if we work together, these organizations, there other than Greater Milwaukee Foundations, there are so many organizations that want to give out money, but they have to decide, okay, do I give it to this person now? Do I give it to that person? But if we come together, we can, man, we can build our own community out of the monies that's out there that's available to us. And so that's what I would say.
Absolutely. Thank you, Miss Farina. She brings some knowledge to our esteemed people up there, Malia.
Yeah, I mean, I feel just so humbled and honored to just be with this group tonight. There's so much love for just really doing this hard work, but also so much love for just saying like we're here as resources, like people. So what I see is that people are the resources. And don't be afraid to lean on one another. And, on behalf of GMF tonight, I mean, that's Malia as a person, but on behalf of GMF tonight, I just want to say, GMF is part of the ecosystem that we're talking about tonight about how to invest in ourselves and in our communities. And we believe in a Milwaukee for all. We really do, where all folks in our neighborhood are thriving and where people feel welcomed, included, and where we really see the potential in people and want to develop that and so people are the greatest assets in our community.
Thank you so much, Anthony. Mr. Dodd, drop them gems tonight.
Pleasure, pleasure. So I just wanted to just leave everybody with just think of something that's greater than yourselves. So a lot of times you might not even be around to enjoy the fruits of your labor as far as if you are, let's say in your 40s or 50s or 60s, and this is your first time buying the house, but just think about your kids so they can start building that generational wealth and their kids can have that. And then finally, we can have good schools. We can have even better parks and neighborhoods and things of that nature. So um, it don't matter what age you start, just start with that knowledge of credit and pass it down. because it's bigger than ourselves. It's actually, it's about the kids.
Absolutely. Thank you. And right quick, because we do have a couple events coming up, so I don't want to lose it. We do a Refund the Community MKE where we utilize resources and things within our community to give back. This Friday at the Sherman Park Neighborhood Association at 6:30, we're having someone come in and teach youth how to start a business. Brandon, this is free. So if you have youth who want to start a business, and youth can be of all ages, but we did primarily gear towards our youth. We're not going to turn anybody away. Come in, learn about some of the things that you need to be a legitimate business, if that's the way that you want to go in. And on Sunday at McGovern Park at 1 p.m., we're going to have the Negro League come out and do a softball game with the families within the community. So even if you don't live in McGovern, make sure you come out. We'll have food on the grill that was given by Program the Park. So shout out to Von and Gabby. And then we'll have s'mores for the babies, or some older people like it as well too. But come out. These are things we're doing within our community that are for our community. So Friday, 6:15, the Sherman Park Neighborhood Association is next door to the Sherman Phoenix. It's on Fond du Lac. Come out and bring your babies. I'll also put the flyer in the chat. So if you want to email or find out more details about what Refund the Community MKE is. And Sunday, come out to the park. We'll have the grill going. The park is a nice way. I know we're in the middle of a pandemic, but it's a nice way to get out, get some fresh air. And also, we want to put positivity into the air. Come out and eat some food, play a game of softball, the Negro Leagues. I don't know if you know them, but there was a group of individuals who fought to play baseball to save softball during the time that we were not, intersegregated. And because they could not play in those other leagues, they decided to form one of their own. And we have some of those individuals that are still here with us today. So they're going to come out to the park. We're going to barbecue. We're going to have some fun, in just a way of the community unity coming together. I'll also drop that flyer in the link if you can share it out. If you want more information, there's an email and a phone number. Also, I know we have a community pop up coming up. Would you like to talk about the community pop up, Miss Serena?
So I'm the founder, excuse me, of the Dream Team United MKE, and the Dream Team United MKE is just a group of people, different like young people. Sequana is a part of it. It's just by May. Just it's a bunch of people in the community who came together um, to make a difference in the community, to try to give resources to our community. And one of the things that we make us unique is that we do not require you show ID. We don't do any of that. All we ask that you give us your zip code and your name. No, your zip code and the people in your house. It's not
The
for
number.
any government or
Yep.
anything like that.
No names.
We don't report to anybody. It's just us. And so anyone that would like to be a volunteer or part of the Dream Team United MKE, which we are just became a LLC, you are welcome to join us. And so our pop up, we do partner with people. We will be partnering with the Lamb of God Church on Saturday, May 29th from 12 to 3. We will have 1,069 food boxes to give out to the community. And if you're an organization and you want to come and get bunch of boxes, please reach out to us. We have a Gmail account, Dream Team Milwaukee
MKE.
Dream
Yeah.
Team United Milwaukee MKE at gmail.com.
And a Facebook page as
And
well
we have
too.
a Facebook page, the Dream Team United Facebook page. So you can reach out to us any way. And we pop up. We would be doing more pop ups. We're getting more partnerships. So we're going to actually be doing more pop ups. We're actually working to do a pop up at Homer Blow's birthday party. We're going to connect with him so that we can do a pop up at his party next month. So next month we'll be doing two, but this month we'll be doing the one, and it's Saturday, May 29th from 12 to 3, 8415 West Bradley Road.
Yeah, and if you know an area, because we try to go around the city of Milwaukee, that is a food desert or people need food, we were only doing it once a month. We know the need is greater. We've been out pre-COVID. We have places all the way up to December at this point, but we are willing to come to a different location if there are individuals or families that are in great needs in a certain area, because we know everybody don't have a car or they don't have transportation to come and get the food. So we want to bring it to an area where it will be utilized. We don't have grants for this. We do have some affiliations of 501c3s that are part of it, but this is money out of our own pocket. Love when we could collaborate with other people, and we have a couple people that give to us. So it's for us, by us, for our community. And Seven is our youth lead for that as
Yes,
well.
he is.
So once again, thank you all for joining in to Building Economic Wealth Group. This is an organization or a membership under Taylor Legacies, where we are trying to get the resources and knowledge out to communities that may have been forgotten, to ensure that you have the things you need to become self-sustainable. I'll put how you can reach us in the future if you ever want to come on the show to talk about things of that nature, or to talk about other topics from A to Z that's happening in Milwaukee. We have another segment called Taylor Talks. Thank you for the sponsors, PWF Media. They also hire youth and show them how to do this technology thing. It's a great thing. Golden Gates, forever humble and honored that you were one of the sponsors tonight. Thank you for being a sponsor. Thank you for believing in the work that we're doing. I want to say good night. I say it almost every time I go off. Love on somebody tonight. Hopefully, it's a seasoned person. We're in the middle of COVID, and a lot of them are left out and alone. Maybe come and get a box and give it to them. Thank you again. Have a great day. Stay safe.